Hi, online 1301 students. Well, this is Miss Moore, and I think we all survived the first week. I just thank you all for your patience with getting the correct book and getting your access code, and just please know that I'm always here to help you with any kind of technical difficulties. I know several of you were able to get help from the book publisher as well, and it looks like most of us are up and running in MindTap. And so I'm excited about that, and I'm ready to start week 2, where we're really getting into discussing practical ways to write, and first of all, by learning the writing process. So your first chapter in this week's reading is chapter 2. It just kind of gets you familiar with the writing process. It lets you know that writing is a process and that there are certain steps we need to take. Now that process is going to be different for every person, and it's probably going to be different for every assignment you have in college, but having some sort of recipe, if you will, to go by can help you think more critically about your writing assignments in college. So chapter 2, I wanted just to mention here at the bottom of my outline for chapter 2, we have some steps that call attention to different issues in writing. So we have, and I put a little target out here to kind of symbolize this. We have global issues, so those are the big issues. Then we have content issues, and then we have local issues like grammar and punctuation. So this just kind of helps you see that there are different layers to your own writing. And so I wanted to point that out and make sure you read that description. I think it'll really help you understand the different parts of an essay. Now, this is where in chapter 2 you get a really good definition of the rhetorical situation. Now, last week we mentioned the rhetorical situation, and I told you the acronym TRACE to help you understand it, which meant text, reader, author, context, and exigence. As you can see, your book has a similar formula. There's just a couple of different ways of saying it. They say writer, subject, purpose, audience, medium, and context. Those are all extremely important for any writing assignment that you have, and also for any reading that you're doing for class. So we'll continue to work on the rhetorical situation this week. There also in chapter 2 is a list for the traits of a really excellent college paper. I have my red arrow there because I really want you to try to achieve these things in your own writing. Strong ideas, logical organization, an engaging voice, clear word choice, smooth sentences, correct writing, and just a professional look. And so we're going to go over all of those as you begin reading and practicing this writing process. I love that on page 31 you even have an example of an essay that fits these categories. I really think it's important for you to read that and see what we're aiming for here in college writing. After the example essay, you have some good tips on understanding a topic, developing your topic more, and collecting information about your topic. These are all, again, in my analogy of cooking, would be the recipe. This would be where you're gathering information and you're deciding which recipe you want to use, because we all know that just because you're baking a cake, that doesn't mean there's only one recipe for that. There's several different types of recipes. And so with writing, it's the same process. Just because you're writing a cause and effect essay doesn't mean there's one right way to do that. You've got to figure out what recipe works best for you. And so there's all sorts of ways to develop your topic, to think about your topic. I really like the exploring and developing section of this chapter. I think it gives you some great tips, and you'll be practicing that throughout the week. So our next chapter then goes into the planning process. Once you've picked out your recipe, you've got to gather all of your ingredients. You've got to organize. You've got to focus your ideas. And so I have chapter 3 outlined here. Again, we revisit the rhetorical situation because that is key to understanding your writing and making your writing critical. You want to be able to form a thesis statement. You need a sentence or 2 sentences that tells me what you are writing about and what your goal for this project is. So every essay that you write for me needs to have a thesis statement in the introduction of the essay. So if you need help with that, we've got examples of thesis statements on page 46 and 47 that can hopefully help. You always want to organize your writing. Remember, that was a key for excellent college writing, is to be organized. So there's a lot of different ways you can plan or outline an essay. That's something that you're going to have to turn in at the end of the week to me, is an outline and a thesis statement. So you'll be practicing those 2 things this week. This section of your book gives you some alternatives besides just your standard outline. So maybe one of these will work better for you. One suggestion I have that is not necessarily an assignment would be to really go through that rhetorical checklist that we just saw in chapter 2 and think about your own essay that you're going to be writing, which you've got your assignment sheet for this week, and try to see if you need to revise your ideas or change them based on the rhetorical situation. So that's just a suggestion from me on what you might want to do this week. Chapter 4 is the drafting phase. So once we've decided what recipe we're going to use and we've gathered our ingredients, we're going to start cooking. And I love this quote, "The more a thing cooks, the better." This is from a writer who says she just likes to let her drafts cook and sit and change and meld as she goes along. And so that's what drafting is doing. You're forming all these ingredients, you're putting them together into the essay. Again, what do we start with? The rhetorical situation. You're not going to get away from it. We want to reconsider the rhetorical situation and think about, is our essay accomplishing what it needs to accomplish? Is it focusing on the correct subject? Is the purpose clear through maybe a thesis statement? And then as you draft your essay, you'll want to just begin the organization with an opening, a middle, and an end. It doesn't have to be very well formed yet in a draft. You're just starting to get your ideas down. And this section gives you great tips on what should be in each of these parts of your essay. So in your intro, you should engage your reader. You should establish direction, and you should tell us your point through your thesis statement. In the middle of your essay, you should advance your thesis, test your ideas, build structure, and arrange supporting details. This is the meat of your essay. This is where you're telling me everything that you want to say about this topic. In our case, that will be the writing process for our first essay. When you end your draft, you want to reassert your main point, urge the reader in any way you can to understand and accomplish the goals of your essay, and just complete and unify your message by restating. The simplest terms that I know to talk about an essay is, in the beginning, you're going to tell us what you're going to tell us. The middle, you're going to tell us that. And then in the end, you're going to tell us what you told us. So it sounds a little repetitive, but that's kind of the way to get your message across clearly to your readers. So this is your reading for this week, and under each chapter on your schedule, you have your list of assignments that are due from MindTap to get you through this chapter. Also this week, you're going to open up your Essay 1 assignment and read through that and see if you understand the assignment. Very quickly, I also want to just give you a little taste of what this assignment is about. Here on my screen, I've put up the assignment sheet real quick. Basically, this is a very simple, direct essay telling about the writing process. Here are the keys of the essay right here. You're going to look at Chapter 8, where you're following someone's process. And you're going to talk about this quote that we have: essays are experiments in making sense of things. How is writing like or unlike an experiment? How does writing help us make sense of things? Then you also want to talk about what are the steps of the writing process and how is the writing process helpful to writers. So those 4 questions there are the main point of your essay. This is what you're trying to get across to me and respond to. Some things to watch out for: don't use I. You want to be formal in this essay. Talk professionally and in third person. You will be doing a self-evaluation of this essay. I'll tell you a little bit more about that next week. Here are the requirements for the essay: 1 to 2 pages, double-spaced, MLA format, third-person point of view. I know this is a very quick rundown of the essay. I hope that once you read the prompt, you will understand it better. And of course, you're welcome to ask me any questions you have about the essay. This essay will be due in the coming weeks, September 14th. So next week we'll have a draft due and we'll look at our draft critically and analyze it. But for this week, you have an outline and a thesis statement due. You will find that assignment at the end of your Chapter 4 in MindTap. It will tell you to upload your thesis statement and outline. So that is what's due this coming Sunday at 11, when all of your assignments are due. So please ask me any questions you have about the essay this week. I will put up as much information as I can under your Week 2 folder to help you know better the assignment and what's expected. I know this is a very quick rundown, but I hope it helps you process the assignment and the chapters that you're reading this week. I really look forward to seeing your progress and seeing your assignments. One quick thing before I leave also, I just wanted to mention that on MindTap, when you've completed, I think I sent out an email about this, but when you've completed an assignment, it's going to show up as a 0, unfortunately. Until I grade it, it's going to be a 0. So if you see zeros, do not be afraid. That doesn't mean you've gotten a 0, it just means you've completed the assignment. I will keep you informed on when I grade so that you can see your progress in the class. Okay, I'm running out of my 15 minutes, so I better let you go for this week. Please keep me posted with any questions you might have, and good luck as you start the writing process on your first essay. You'll hear from me next week, and until then, happy writing!